Life is a simple word, but in reality, it's not that easy. Its meaning varies from person to person because everyone faces different situations, dreams, and paths to achieving those dreams. However, in our society, some people find it harder to fulfill their dreams. From a young age, they are neglected and humiliated in various ways, which often crushes their will to live. Yet, despite everything, they keep moving forward in their own way. Today, I'll tell you the story of one such neglected boy who was disregarded by society and even abandoned by his own father. His life seemed destined for failure from the start, but he kept standing up despite being mocked and treated as a joke. Against all odds, he created a remarkable legacy on this earth. If you faced failures in life or feel disappointed with your circumstances, this story is for you. It might help ease your despair and inspire you to find a new reason to keep going. Let's dive into the life of a fighter who refused to give up. The story begins with a boy named Bread, who was just 6 years old. He would say, "I'm Bread, unlike ordinary people. My life isn't normal, it's somewhat extraordinary." Despite trying to enjoy life, people around him constantly reminded him of his biggest weakness. Bread suffered from a condition called Tourette's syndrome, a rare disorder that causes unusual sounds and involuntary body movements. Though it doesn't harm the body, it made him stand out in ways he couldn't control. From childhood, Bread was highly intelligent and wise beyond his years. But no matter how much he wanted to fit in, others mocked him everywhere, especially at school. Students imitated the sounds he made, making fun of him. Even teachers grew irritated when his uncontrollable noises disrupted class. Most assumed he was acting out on purpose since few understood his condition. One day, while taking an exam, Bread's uncontrollable sounds drew constant attention, disrupting the entire classroom. The students laughed at Bread, which made the teacher very angry. The teacher scolded him, saying, "Bread, is this what you want? Do you want to ruin everyone else's studies? Despite being warned repeatedly, you keep making these sounds. If this continues, we cannot keep you in this school. Come forward right now, apologize to everyone, and promise that from today onward, you will never make these sounds again." Bread followed the teacher's order, stepped forward, and said, "I'm really sorry and I feel deeply ashamed, but the truth is, I have no control over this problem. Still, I promise to try my best to manage it." However, moments after returning to his seat, Bread began making the sounds again. As a result, he was sent out of class and taken to the principal's office. Later, Bread's mother arrived. The principal complained about Bread and told her they could no longer allow him to stay in the school because he was causing problems for the other students. But Bread's mother defended him, saying, "Sir, my son isn't doing this on purpose. You all should try to accommodate him. It's unfair to expel him just because of his condition." The principal dismissed her, saying, "Don't try to teach me anything. You don't even understand your own child. He deliberately makes these sounds to disturb his classmates." A few days later, Bread had a baseball match. His father, Norman, and his brother Jeff came to watch. Bread performed exceptionally well, making Norman and Jeff very proud. However, during the match, Bread's Tourette's syndrome symptoms appeared again. From a distance, Norman repeatedly asked him to stop making those sounds. Despite this, the match ended successfully. Later, as Norman spoke with his two sons, Bread began making sounds again. People around them kept looking at them, embarrassing Norman. He repeatedly told Bread to stop, but when Bread couldn't, Norman left the place with both boys in frustration. On the way home, Norman told them stories about how he met their stepmother, Atlanta. He then instructed Bread and Jeff to call Atlanta Mom from now on. Bread questioned him, saying, "Why should we call someone else Mom when our own mother is still alive?" Irritated, Norman tried to explain the situation to both boys, but Bread's Tourette's symptoms kept interrupting. Losing patience, Norman scolded Bread harshly, saying, "How long have I been telling you to stay quiet? You keep making these sounds and embarrass me everywhere. Your mother must have taught you to act this way. If I were around, I wouldn't let you behave so rudely. Learn some manners." Hearing Norman's harsh words, Bread felt deep pain. Tears filled his eyes, but he held back his cries. Days passed, and Bread's mother, Eliza, remained deeply worried about his condition. Not knowing much about it, she took him to a skilled psychiatrist based on someone's advice. After examining Bread, the psychiatrist asked if he felt upset about his parents' divorce or was depressed. Bread replied that he had no such issues and was actually enjoying life. Still, The psychiatrist insisted Bread's condition stemmed from the divorce. Eliza doubted this because Bread's symptoms had existed even before. Eliza then took Bread to a library. Not wanting to disturb anyone, Bread waited outside while she picked up books. That night, she stayed up researching his condition. Watching her effort, Bread approached and apologized, saying he was sorry for causing her so much trouble. After searching through many books, Eliza finally found information about Bread's condition: Tourette's syndrome, an extremely rare disorder. People with this condition can't control their involuntary sounds and movements. It's caused by signals in the brain. Learning this, Eliza immediately took Bread to a psychiatrist, showing him the book. After reviewing it, the psychiatrist confirmed it was indeed Tourette's syndrome, with no known cure. Bread would have to live with it forever. Hearing this, Eliza broke down in tears, worried about how Bread would cope. But Bread comforted her, assuring her he could manage. Later, Eliza told Norman everything, explaining Bread's condition. For the first time, Norman believed Bread and felt immense guilt for his past behavior. He realized he had caused Bread unnecessary pain but remained concerned about his future. Days passed. Eliza constantly motivated Bread and researched places where others with Tourette's gathered, hoping it would inspire him. However, after visiting, Bread's perspective changed. The people there lived isolated lives, having given up on success. Even the woman in charge warned Eliza not to send Bread to school, fearing bullying might harm him mentally. Hearing this, Eliza quickly left with Bread. Bread then told his mother, "I don't want a life like theirs. Watch me, I'll move forward." Eliza appreciated his determination and apologized repeatedly for taking him there. Soon after, she enrolled Bread in another school. Unfortunately, the same problems arose. Students mocked him and treated him as an outsider. One day during a test, Bread desperately tried to suppress his sounds, but his symptoms persisted. The teacher became furious and sent him to the principal, Mr. Mayer. When Bread saw Mr. Mayer, he began apologizing, insisting he hadn't meant to disturb anyone. Ignoring his words, Mr. Mayer told him to attend the school's music program that evening. Bread initially refused, fearing disruption, but Mr. Mayer insisted. Reluctantly, Bread attended. During the performance, Bread's symptoms appeared repeatedly. The audience stared and told him to stop. Bread wanted to run away, but soon the program ended. Mr. Mayer stepped onto the stage and addressed the crowd. "Did you hear unusual sounds during the music? Those sounds were made by our student, Bread Cohen." Bread froze in fear. Mr. Mayer invited Bread onto the stage. Trembling, Bread joined him. Mr. Mayer asked, "Bread, why do you make these sounds occasionally? Can you explain it to everyone?" Bread replied, "I apologize to all of you. I have Tourette's syndrome. It has no cure, and I don't intentionally disturb anyone. I can't control my body or stop these sounds no matter how hard I try." Mr. Mayer then asked, "How can we help you?" Bread replied, "If everyone could see me as normal and accept my condition, maybe my sounds won't bother anyone anymore. With your support, I can study like other kids and have a bright future." Mr. Mayer addressed everyone. "You've heard that Bread doesn't make these sounds on purpose. What happened today could happen to any of us. Let's help him live a normal life and accept him as he is. Every child deserves to live normally. From today onward, I don't want to hear any complaints about Bread." With that, Mr. Mayer sent Bread back to his seat. As Bread left the stage, everyone applauded, standing up to honor him. A peaceful smile spread across his face. That day, Bread felt deeply motivated. In his heart, he decided that if he achieved anything in life, he would become a teacher like Mr. Mayer, full of kindness and love for every student. Years passed, and Bread grew into a man. Though his Tourette's remained, he embraced it as part of himself. Impressively, he graduated from the country's top university with outstanding results, earning awards for his achievements. However, his dream of becoming a teacher remained unfulfilled. To pursue his goal, Bread attended interviews at various schools. One day, he went to a prestigious school. The principal was initially impressed by his certificates but hesitated upon noticing his Tourette's symptoms.
Classroom. Drop. Here. Drop.
Bread calmly explained his condition, but the principal remained doubtful. "How will you teach? Your students might focus more on your sounds than their studies. I'm sorry, but we can't offer you this job." Though disappointed, Bread left with a smile. Rejection wasn't new. He had already faced it 27 times, but it didn't discourage him. He returned home, sharing a flat with his close friend Ron, who supported him like a brother. Bread had applied to many schools and now waited eagerly for calls. A few days later, another call came from a school. Bread was thrilled. It was one of his favorites. Brad went to his school for an interview. The principal was impressed by his certificates but lost interest when he learned about Brad's Tourette's syndrome. The principal said, "Our students are mischievous. They'll make fun of you. This isn't suitable for you." Brad replied confidently, "I've faced many challenges. Nothing bothers me now. I can explain my condition anytime. I have plans and dreams for these children. I wanted to teach them valuable lessons." Despite this, the principal rejected him. Brad faced rejection from several schools but didn't lose hope. One day, Brad's father, Norman, called him to visit his workplace. When they met, Norman said, "How long will you keep trying? Teaching isn't right for you. Stop wasting time and work with me." Brad was furious. "No matter how long it takes, I won't give up on my dream. I have so much to offer society as a teacher. You should support me." He left, deeply hurt. A few days later, another school called Brad for an interview. He explained his condition openly. The principal said, "Though your condition might disrupt studies, it doesn't matter to me. You're here for money, and I'm hiring for money. Congratulations, you're hired." Brad responded, "I can't accept this job. I don't want to work in a school where the principal shows no concern for students." He collected his certificates and left. Sitting in his car, he felt frustrated and cried bitterly. That evening, Brad called his mother and shared everything. She comforted him, saying, "When you were little, you told me you'd never let Tourette's defeat you. I believe in you. Keep trying. You'll achieve your dream." Her words lifted his spirits. Brad made copies of his certificates and created a list of schools needing teachers. He submitted his documents to schools of all sizes, determined to keep trying. Facing financial difficulties, Brad worked part-time with his father temporarily. Though Norman offered him money, Brad refused to rely on anyone. He told Norman he was only working temporarily, as he'd soon become a great teacher. Norman secretly wished the same. Nearly 2 months passed. Brad had also submitted a document explaining his condition, which might explain why no school called him. Still, he waited patiently. One morning, Brad received a call from a school for an interview. The principal, Jim, and his assistant, Larry, welcomed him warmly. Jim asked, "Your results are excellent. Why do you want to be a teacher?" Brad replied, "My Tourette's made me face humiliation. I was expelled from many schools, but then a compassionate principal, Mr. Mayor, taught me what real education means. Books can't teach humanity. We need good guides. I want to change lives like he changed mine. Even after being rejected by over 30 schools, I'll keep moving toward my dream." Jim and Larry were deeply impressed. They talked for nearly 2 hours, making it Brad's best interview. The next day, Brad was offered the teaching position. It felt like a dream. That night, Brad shared the news with his mother, who was overwhelmed with joy. Smiling, she teased, "You've faced so many hardships. Now, why don't you find someone special?" Brad laughed. "What are you saying, Mom? Would anyone want a husband like me?" She replied, "Not everyone is the same. Someone will love you for who you are." Inspired, Brad casually created a profile on a dating site. With 2 days left before starting, Brad prepared everything. When he arrived at the school, Larry greeted him warmly. The teachers helped Brad organize his class. Everyone treated him normally, and he worked with them to prepare the classroom. That evening, he went home. On a dating app, a girl named Nancy wanted to meet him. They met at a coffee shop. Nancy was cheerful and lively. When Brad's Tourette's symptoms appeared, he openly explained his condition. Nancy admired his confidence and liked his personality. They spent the day talking about their interests. Though Nancy left casually after their meeting, she later messaged him about her favorite songs and art, asking about his music preferences. Slowly, they became friends. The next day, Brad began teaching. To entertain the kids, he brought creative ideas like dressing as a rabbit. On the first day, he openly told the children about his Tourette's and encouraged them to ask questions. The kids asked funny and curious questions, and Brad answered humorously. His unique way of connecting with them impressed them deeply. One student asked, "Sir, what can't you do because of your syndrome?" Brad laughed. "I can do almost everything, but I can't play hide and seek. I'd get caught too easily." The kids laughed, enjoying his humor. Days passed until one day, a parent named Hillary removed his child, Amanda, from Brad's class. Amanda refused to attend any other class, feeling most comfortable with Brad. Despite Principal Jim and Larry trying to reason with Hillary, he insulted Brad, claiming he knew best for his child. Brad smiled and didn't respond. Larry encouraged Brad to keep teaching the way he did. Brad noticed Amanda secretly watching his class. He met her after class. Amanda said her father had forced her to leave, but Brad comforted her, saying parents act out of love. He assured her she could visit anytime, making Amanda happy. Later, Brad noticed Thomas, the weakest student, sitting alone during a break. Brad took him to a separate class. Studying was hard for me, but my mother motivated me to overcome obstacles. If I can succeed, so can you, Brad said. He gave Thomas a book to read. As Thomas began, Brad occasionally made sounds due to his condition. Thomas complained, "How can I focus with you doing that?" Brad replied, "This is what happened to me when I studied. If I could succeed despite this, so can you." Brad appreciated Thomas's effort, crowned him with a makeshift crown, and told him a story about a king. Meanwhile, Brad's relationship with Nancy grew stronger. They traveled, sang on drives, and enjoyed each other's company. One day Nancy wanted to meet Brad's family. Brad introduced her, and his mother warmly welcomed her. During a party, Brad nervously proposed to Nancy. She reassured him, saying she loved him deeply and wanted to spend her life with him. That night, Brad shared this with his mother, who was overjoyed. In Brad's class, Heather, the smartest student, supported and respected him. After school, she would hug him before leaving. One day, Heather's mother visited Brad, revealing that Heather had cancer and didn't have much time left. Heartbroken, Brad tried to make her final days joyful, gifting her a stuffed rabbit, which made her happy. Soon, Brad learned Heather had passed away. Overwhelmed with grief, he attended her funeral but stayed outside. Heather's mother approached him saying, "You were Heather's favorite person. You made her last days beautiful. Please come in. It would make us happy." She led him inside. Brad couldn't hold back his tears. He missed Heather deeply. Months passed. One day, while Brad was teaching, a government education officer visited. He observed Brad's class secretly, noting how Brad engaged the children with fun activities and real-life lessons. Brad's students, once struggling, now scored 70–80%. Studying had become joyful for them. Weeks later, Larry announced to the students, "This is your teacher, Brad Cohen. From today, he is no ordinary teacher, he is a national teacher. He has been chosen as our country's best teacher this year." Brad was overwhelmed, but his students cheered and clapped ecstatically. On the award ceremony day, Nancy helped prepare Brad, who was extremely nervous. His family, friends, and students were present. When Brad was called on stage, he shared his life story, explaining how he overcame obstacles. He spoke about Mr. Mayer, his childhood inspiration, and said, "My greatest teacher has been my Tourette's syndrome. It taught me societal realities and how to keep moving forward." To me, Tourette's is a gift. Someone asked, "What have you learned from Tourette?" Before Brad could answer, his students raised their hands. One said, "You've taught us how to move forward in life." Another added, "You've shown us how to stay inspired despite failures." A third said, "You've taught us to face any situation with a smile." Tears welled up in Brad's eyes. He lifted his award as the crowd erupted in applause. This was all Brad had ever wanted. To prove he wouldn't let Tourette's defeat him, he overcame every challenge, becoming a success. Today he stood as proof that greatness is possible despite hardships.